Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. So in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a soulful lead, and I'm going to show you how you can incorporate all of these techniques into your playing, and it's not as hard as you might think, because everything we're doing is, for one, we're staying in the key of the song, so we're not really thinking about playing the chord changes, but we're also playing the pentatonic scales, major and minor pentatonic scales, stuff that you already know, but maybe you just haven't thought about using in this way. So we're going to break this lesson down over the course of 2 videos. In this video, we're going to go through the first half. If you'd like to learn the second half, download the tablature, download the MP3 jam track, basically all the materials you need to practice what we're going to talk through. You can get them by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP481. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about before we start talking about the notes is let's just break down the chords and get our boundaries, know what we're working with. So this song is played in the key of B flat. So our 1 chord is a B flat. And then it goes to this diminished 7 chord. Now I'm going to talk more about this chord in just a minute, but to me that's kind of a George Harrison vibe. It's got that "Isn't It a Pity" kind of sound. And that diminished 7 chord is such a great chord. If you want, it's a sad kind of tension chord. And it's just a really cool chord that you can work into your blues, and there's just a lot of uses for that. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So you have your 1 chord, you have that diminished 7 chord, and then we come up here and go to our 2 chord, which is a C minor. Then we go to the 5 chord, which is an F7, and then back to the 1. So it's really that set of chords that we're going to go through in this first part. If you were just looking at those for the first time and somebody asked you to play a lead over that, you might feel intimidated. You got this diminished chord, it's like how do you put together some kind of meaningful solo? Well, always start with the pentatonics. I'm telling you, that's always a good rough sketch. You can always kind of color in stuff down the road, but at least that's my approach, is I always start with those pentatonic scales, major, minor, kind of figuring out my boundaries. And a lot of times I just stay in them because there's so much great music that you can make with those 5 notes in the pentatonics. So let's actually listen to the first part of this lead, and then we'll break it down. Okay, so that first note comes in on the 2. So you don't come in right away at the 1. So it's 1, 2. So just remember that when you're playing along with the jam track. You come in on the 2. Now, let's look at these first notes. It's all played here between the 5th string and the 4th string. I'm going to slide into the 5th fret, 5th string with my ring finger. And then with my index finger, I come up here on the 4th string to the 3rd fret, back to that 5th fret, 5th string, and then there's a hammer-on between 3 and 5 on the 4th string. And we resolve it there on the 3rd fret, 4th string. So, what is this little phrase? Where's this coming from? Let's put this in context. So remember I said pentatonic scales, right? So we're going to be playing, the song is in the key of B flat. So what I like to do, if I want to find my boundaries, this is just my little sort of technique for that, is I think about the E chord shape from the Cage system, and I find the root chord or the key chord for the song. So B flat is here, and that would be on the 6th fret. So if I were to play that E chord shape, this is my B flat chord, I'm barring on the 6th fret. Now if I put my pinky there, I skip 2 frets going this direction, and then come down to my 3rd fret. This is the top part of my major pentatonic scale pattern 1. So look at this. There's my pentatonic scale pattern 1 for B flat. Now I could take that same 6th fret, which is where my B flat note is, put my index finger there, go the other direction, skip 2 frets, and now I've got my minor pentatonic scale. Right? It's the same little shape that we used for major, but we're doing it up here and it becomes minor. And so that's what I use for my boundaries when I'm starting to learn how to improvise over something. I kind of start there. It's always a sort of a safe, rough sketch, I guess. So now you can see where that's coming from. It's coming from your major pentatonic scale for the key of the song, which is B flat, sorry. Okay, then the next phrase goes, let's listen to that. So we're staying between the 3rd fret and the 5th fret, but we're going to do basically the same thing we did before. We're just going to start it now on the 4th string. So we're going to slide up to the 5th fret, Then we come up to the 3rd fret 3rd string, and we do a hammer on this time, but stay on the 5th fret. That's the 5th fret 3rd string. Just to give a little variation, that's all. So all of this is right in between those 2 frets, 3rd fret and 5th fret. Here's the second time. Okay, and then watch this. That's the next phrase. Let's listen to it. So all I'm doing scale-wise is I'm just coming up to pattern 2 of my major pentatonic scale for B flat. Right? These notes. So I'm sliding up to the 7th fret, 3rd string, 6th fret, 2nd string. And then watch this. That's a little kind of a country double stop thing. But I'm staying in that major pentatonic scale pattern 2. So barring the first 2 strings on the 6th fret, and then I'm doing a hammer onto the 8th fret 2nd string. But I'm playing strings 1 and 2. So you get that extra note, that little harmonized sound. And then we're going to do a quick slide from the 7th fret down to the 5th fret on the 3rd string. So just practice that little move. Now from here, we're going to walk it down 5th fret to the 3rd fret again. So that's the 3rd string and 4th string. It's 5, 3, 5, 3. And then I came up and I concluded that and hit strings 2 and 3 on the 3rd fret there. And look at that. That little triad there was made just by putting my index finger down. It works perfectly because that's in your chord. When you think about your B flat chord, using the A shape, you'd be playing it here. Or if you were playing it using the G shape, you'd be playing it here. But either way, you've got that triad there. So I was kind of working towards that triad. I could picture it before I got there. And I just kind of worked my way into it. So all of that is the first time through those chords. Now to get back to our B flat chord, did this series of triplets from the minor pentatonic scale. You can hear it sounds a little more bluesy. Let's listen to it in context. So why does this lick sound a little more bluesy? It's coming from the minor pentatonic scale, B flat minor pentatonic scale. And we're in that same pattern 1, right? So I'm just walking down between the 6th fret and the 8th fret. So it starts here on the 6th fret, 2nd string, up to the 8th fret, and then a half bend. Because you're bending to this note, which would be your 9th fret. And that note is in that minor pentatonic scale. Actually, all of these notes are in that minor. But bending into it, it gives you just that nice little kind of bluesy edge. Now, I don't want to stay too long in that minor pentatonic scale because it's going to overdo it. And so, I mean, it's really just a matter of taste. This is a lot like cooking, you know, how much salt do you put in? It really depends on, you know, who's eating it. But for me, that's enough. Just that little phrase there was just enough to kind of give me a little bit of that blues vibe. And what gives it that sound is the triplets. It's triplet, triplet, as opposed to playing right on the beat. So that's what I'm doing, half bend, then we go back 8, 6 on the 2nd string, and then we go 8, 6, and then 8 on the 4th string. All right, so now our chords have reset. We're back to the B flat. And I do the same thing here as I did the first time through. So the first time was this. This time, we're just going to play it an octave higher. We're playing it this time out of pattern 2. We're still in our major pentatonic scale, but we're just up in a different position. Hopefully you can see that now. Like, oh yeah, this is all just major pentatonic scale. So it's 7th fret, 3rd string, and then we're between the 6th fret and the 8th fret again on the 2nd string. Now this part is where we stray from the major and the minor pentatonic scale. Just for this one little part here, to really highlight the notes of that diminished 7 chord. And so what I played for that. Let me just talk through the notes first. A little hammer-on pull-off between the 6th fret and the 8th fret on the 2nd string. And then we come down to the 5th fret 2nd string. And then watch that, and that's one of the notes in your diminished 7 chord. So I just slid it down one. My ear could hear it. Now this is where you take your head out of it. Once you get to a certain comfort level, you can hear the chord and you start feeling through the intervals. And I'm telling you, this does happen over time. It's just one of those things, and it's lessons like this that can help you do that. And you start putting these pieces together. That's getting you into the diminished 7 chord. And then watch this. So this is a slide up to the 8th fret 2nd string, and then we go 6 on the 1st string, back to the 8th 2nd, and then now when I'm playing this, I'm keeping my index finger down on the 6th fret 1st string, and we come up here to the 9th fret 1st string. Watch this. There's 9, 6, 8, and then middle finger goes down on the 8th fret 2nd string, and then we conclude with that 6th fret 1st string, which is our B flat note. Now that's probably confusing to some of you as you're kind of learning how to improvise. You think, okay, that note I could see, you hit the one note, but how would you think to play these notes? How would you think to do that? And it comes from another lick. So all these licks, when you learn how to play them, now that you have this lick, you can use this in lots of things going forward, not just over diminished 7 chords. In fact, this lick came from a Freddie King song. When I first learned to play this, I heard Freddie King doing that, and it was, to me, it was a combination of minor pentatonic, pattern 1, and major pentatonic, pattern 2. So you can hear in a blues context how that would work. It works really well over this diminished 7 chord as well, because you're hitting the notes of the diminished 7 scale. It's that half step, whole step. So after we play this lick, and the last note was on that 6th fret 1st string, we're going to slide up and play that same note, but on the 11th fret 2nd string. And this is, again, it's just all just the blues. When I think about this note sliding up to this note, it's a standard blues lick that you learn over time, and you can do it in any key once you get it. That kind of thing. It's taking the one note, sliding into that same note on the string below it, basically. So that just came sort of without even thinking about it. But it puts you in position. Now I'm in another area, another zip code on my neck, and I can play something different. That's what we're going to learn. This next phrase. Let's listen to it. So the phrase goes like this. So 11th fret 2nd string, 10th fret 1st string, 11th fret 1st string, slide up to the 13th fret on the 1st string. Now what's going on there? Where are we at now? We're still in, this would still be major pentatonic scale. These are major notes, but they're also notes from the chord shape. So I was thinking, when I slide into this 11th fret 2nd string, that's a B flat note. Remember, it's a match of this one, and that would be a note that's from this chord shape. Looks like a D chord, and if I play it here, the tip of that little triangle there is the name of your chord. So that's a B flat note, therefore that's a B flat chord, B flat triad. So I basically started off that lick by tracing the notes of that chord, these two notes, and then sliding up to that 13th fret, and then back to, now you're going to put your ring finger back on the 11th fret 1st string, and watch this. It's going to walk us right back down to our B flat down here on the 4th string. Now this lick is minor pentatonic scale. You can hear it just switched gears. We just turn the dial back to the blues. Just for a few notes. It's just enough to kind of to flavor this thing. So from this 11th fret 1st string, we're going to play that with our ring finger, and then we're going to do a hammer-on between the 9th fret and the 10th fret on the 1st string, and then down to the 11th fret 2nd string. So we have, now watch this, quick slide from the 10th fret down to the 8th fret on the 3rd string, and then 6 on the 3rd string, 8th fret 4th string. This, we went back into minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. And we started that lick in minor pentatonic scale pattern 2. Up here. But by hammering on that third, that makes it major. That's one little cheat there. But now from here, it's just minor pentatonic scale pattern 2, sliding down to pattern 1 for B flat. So it's B flat minor pentatonic scale. Hopefully you can see that. I just really, if I were to summarize everything that just happened there, I've got my B flat chord using the D shape, and then I'm still major pentatonic scale, very happy, and then right back into the blues. I could have played it like that, but I thought you needed to hammer on that note just to really emphasize that third. And the last thing that I played goes like this. So I'm playing the A chord, your A bar chord there, but instead of me barring and playing all 6 strings, I'm just playing the top 4. So when you play that chord, you hit your ring finger, which is on the 4th string there. And then what I'm doing there is I'm barring the first 3 strings on the 6th fret, playing strings 1 and 3, like that. So I'm picking on the 3rd string, plucking with my ring finger on the 1st string, but I'm just playing the chord, the triad. And then up here to the 8th fret 4th or 8th fret 3rd string, and then hammer it on again, back to down to the 8th fret 4th string. Last note was a B flat on top of that, an octave higher, so on the 6th fret 1st string. So it was like that. Actually, the way I played it was, I think that's how I did it. So that's how I'm going to conclude this part 1 video. It kind of ends there before it goes into the second half, which has a whole new set of chords. But we're still staying in, basically following the same principles of just staying in the key of the song. There's going to be another little chord that I'm going to highlight in that part 2, kind of like we did for the diminished 7 chord. But other than that, major and minor pentatonic scale. So don't discard those pentatonic scales. I know everybody wants to sort of play outside of the box and play all of this, get into modes and playing all kinds of stuff. But for rough sketches and for just getting the ball rolling, and for a lot of people, their entire careers come from the major and minor pentatonic scale. So it's just really powerful when it comes to playing them on the guitar. All right, we'll see you in part 2.